The lighting looks so good this way, but like that's so ugly. This way it looks like dull. Maybe, oh, this way. This is the way.
Planning peace, planning joy, plan another day. Gave his life up on the cross to wash his sins away.
Hi lovelies, welcome back to a new video. So as you can tell by the title of this video, we're going to be diving into all things confidence, self-love, self-worth, self-esteem, all that good stuff. I do have a video about this already on my channel, so I will link that on the video and down below. But today I kind of want to dive a little bit deeper and also kind of include and tell you guys about my own personal journey with confidence and what that really looked like when it first started out. Growing up, I was never really the girl that cared about what I looked like. And I don't mean in the sense of like I was nonchalant about my appearance, but I didn't focus on it that much. I would just go places, I'd be with my parents, be, oh, your daughter's so pretty. And my parents would say, oh, you're so pretty. And so I just kind of had this concept of, hey, you're pretty. Because it's all I heard, I was never given anything negative or insults or anything like that. Even in school, growing up, when I had issues, it was normally just with like drama within friendships and that type of stuff. It was never me being bullied over my appearance. I also grew up really having a solid foundation of my parents speaking positive things into me and telling me who I am in God and all those types of things. So I kind of just had this knowledge of like who I should be and who people think I am and what they think I look like, and I never really paid any attention to it. I never did my own self-reflection of myself until high school. High school was a rude awakening for a lot of things in my life. Grateful for high school, however, it was probably one of the darkest moments of my life. I really didn't like high school. I didn't enjoy high school at all. When I got to high school, it was the year of 2011, and if you guys don't really know about like the music and the aura of back then as far as like pop culture, it was very demeaning depending on what side of the scale you were on. When I got to high school, it was the first time I was ever introduced to colorism. I didn't know that that was a thing. I didn't know that darker skin wasn't favored or preferred or even diminished till I got to high school. Like I said, in the culture, in the music at that time, a lot of the popular songs would always reference towards red bones or light skins. I'm not getting into a colorism debate in this video because I don't think that that's the point. I just think that knowing how the context of what I was growing up in at the time affected my self-esteem. Skin color wasn't even anything that I ever paid attention to in my life. I would just look in the mirror. I was who I was. I had friends that were way lighter than me. It never meant anything to me. I literally never paid any attention to it until I got to high school, and I realized that there was a negative connotation with you being darker and there was a positive connotation with you being lighter, and that absolutely shattered me. At the same time, when I was in high school, I was getting into makeup. I really wanted to wear it. I had been trying to wear it before then, and my dad was like, no, you can practice, but don't leave the house with it on. So when I got to high school, I kind of got some freedom to start dabbling into it because I guess he realized he wasn't going to be able to stop me. So I remember I went to Walgreens, and I told this story before, but I went to Walgreens and there was a specific makeup brand where I was trying to buy a bottle of foundation, and I saw that like the shades for black women were maybe like 2 to 3, and there was not a dark enough shade for me. And so that, along with the fact that I'm realizing like people are more accepting or they prefer people that are lighter, and so I'm seeing like all these different things pointing towards the fact that that's true. This is how the world is. The world doesn't like darker skinned people. At that time, I was also darker than I am now. I just kind of felt like, wow, like I actually don't have a place in this world. That's what I was feeling like. My immature, underdeveloped brain at 14 years old was really feeling like I had the weight of the world against me. As time went on, I finally did find like, you know, some makeup that I could make work with my skin, and I started to get really good at it. I started to get good at making myself look good. So I attributed my good looks to being able to do my makeup, do my hair, and dress up and all those types of things. When I would take it off, I would feel like I'm back to being that girl that doesn't have a place, that nobody's interested in, and I really don't even know what I'm good at. At this time, you know, when you're 14 to like 18 years old, you're trying to discover yourself. You don't even really know who you are. Also at this time, my dad had began pastoring, and so everybody at school knew like, oh, this is the PK's daughter. Everybody placed like an identity on me, and I really didn't even know who I was yet. That's really what high school felt like. Before I even got to know who I was already disliking it. And that was really, really hard to work through. So to sum it all up, high school was not really a place that helped build my confidence at that time. I didn't think that it was helping me or anything. I just felt like I wanted to go home every single day. I didn't want to go every single day. I had my friends that I became close with, and that kind of curated a bit of a safe place for me, but for the most part, I hated being in the four walls of that building, and I always wanted to be at home, and I never wanted to go back because I felt so unwanted, so unappreciated. I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel like anybody would want me. I felt like my skin needed to be lighter for me to be considered attractive. I loved taking pictures my whole life, and so I was like, maybe I could model, maybe I could, you know, whatever, and like everything was just shattered because I realized that you are not a light-skinned girl. You are a darker skinned black female, and people just don't like you. That is what I left high school feeling like. I am so in love with my skin, and I don't mind it at all. I love my skin color. I embrace everything about myself, but to this day there are still people or things that can trigger me, like lighter skinned guys saying I don't date black women, or I don't date dark skinned women. You know, it just always makes me wonder how you could generalize a whole conglomerate of people and say, hey, I'll never date them. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a preference, but I think it's so damaging mentally on self-esteem and confidence in women or any group of people that you're saying I would never do this or I would never do that with them based on what they look like. It just never sat well with me, and to this day it still doesn't. But today it doesn't affect my self-esteem or my confidence the way that it did, and I'm gonna kind of share with you guys what God shared with me and how you can kind of get over toxic negativity and self-taught things that you've learned to feel negative and think negatively about yourself. So the most important step that comes first in getting your confidence up and building your self-esteem is pinpointing exactly what it is that tore your self-esteem down and made you feel worthless and insecure. A really, really big pinpoint for me was colorism. I had to go back and realize that I started to learn how to not like myself because I thought that other people didn't like me for my skin color. This is really an important step because if you don't really know what's causing you to feel bad, you won't really know how to fix it. You really kind of have to do the work to dial back and figure out when was the first time I really realized that I felt worthless, or when was the first time I really felt like I was ugly, or I felt like I was insecure, or I felt shame about myself. When was that first moment? And I understand that a lot of people's stories could be a lot more severe than my case, and so I know that this can be a difficult thing to navigate through, but I think it's so important to first identify it so that you can confront that very thing. You can go head to head and toe to toe with it when you're trying to build your confidence and your self-esteem up again. Which brings me to my second point, which is facing it. You've got to face what made you feel bad about yourself. I had to look colorism in the mirror every single day looking at myself, and I had to face the fact that there are people out there who are genuinely just not attracted to darker skin, and they would never date darker skin. They think bad about darker skin. I had to face that and accept that. And that's a really painful thing to accept, especially as a black woman talking about this. I think that it kind of ties into a bit of racism and things that we deal with just being black women, and how sometimes we just aren't favored and we're just not preferred compared to other people that may be favored and preferred. And so this was a really difficult thing for me, but I had to accept the fact that there are colorist people in the world. There are racist people in the world, and this is just how it is. It's not how I think it should be. I wish that it wasn't that way, but this is it. And so you've got to face that and be like, okay, this is what made me feel insecure, and these people aren't going anywhere. they're not gonna just disappear. And so you have to face it so that you understand. In order for me to feel better, I have to learn how to live in a world with people who may not like me for reasons that are beyond my understanding and that are even hurtful. But I gotta learn how to live in this world and love myself regardless of the fact that they are still gonna be here. That sounds so much easier said than done. It took me years to learn how to do this, you guys, and I'm still learning how to do it in other areas of my life and my inner growth and my self-worth and attractiveness and all those different things. But the older that I got, the more I think I was able to understand. For one, because my brain's developing more, and two, the longer you're stuck in your body, the more you kind of start to be like, okay, this is what I'm stuck with, this is what I was given, I need to figure out how to love this and how to work with this. So the third thing I'm going to talk about is a point, okay? This is a point, this is tea, this is like, okay, go get you some tea so that you can sip it. I don't have no tea, but y'all sip the tea for me because I'm about to give you the tea, okay? Third point is that beauty does not equal attractiveness. Now I'm gonna just let that marinate for a second. We're just gonna sit here, we're gonna think about what I just said. We live in this society where it is like natural. Like, unless you guys heard me say what I just said, it would just be like instinct for us to think that because I'm attracted to this, it's beautiful. And that is not the case. That is not what makes something beautiful. That is not what makes you beautiful because somebody is attracted to you. We live in a society where everything is thrown at us based on what we think we like. They put things in the media, they put things on commercials. Even the social media platforms are favored to push out content that they think people like. So we live in this society where the more people like it, the more it's considered acceptable or the standard or beautiful or whatever the case. And that is not what beauty means. I'm gonna tell you guys what beauty means, okay? I was in the shower when God dropped this bomb on me, okay? Like, let me tell y'all, beauty is what God created, period. That's literally it. That's what makes something beautiful. The fact that God made it, the fact that he created it. That's beauty. First time there was ever beauty was when God made something. Nobody was even there to like it. God was like making the world and creating this beautiful world. It was beautiful because he made it, not because there was millions of people to like the post on Instagram or because there were millions of people to say, hey, I think that you're pretty and hey, I think that you're not and blah, 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 or whatever. It didn't matter what people thought about God's creation. It was beautiful because he made it. The same thing still applies. Because God made you, you're beautiful. And I know that that sounds so cliche because that's the thing that everybody says to people that are insecure. I know because people said it to me all the time. Like, oh, God created you. You have to be beautiful, blah, 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 blah. But like nobody that's struggling with the fact that nobody's attracted to me wants to hear that. But the reason why we don't want to hear that is because we need to unlearn what beauty means. We have literally linked beauty and attractiveness together as if they're like synonyms. And they are so different. I can give you guys like a really, really, really good example of this. I don't like dirt. I am not somebody that is an outside girl. I like to be inside. I'm more of the bougie. Like, put me in a high-rise building. I want to be as far away from the ground as possible. I do not like nature like that. I'm just not that girl. Now, there are people, I have friends of my own that love nature. They walk outside, no shoes on. They love getting dirty. They love all that types of stuff. I mean, they are like obsessed with it. God made dirt. He made nature. I am not a person that enjoys it, but there are people that love it. But regardless of what either of us think of it, it's beautiful because God made it. Regardless of if a million people like your photo or if a million people like somebody else's photo, you are beautiful regardless of what people think of you. I know it can be discouraging to not have anybody attracted to you, but the tea behind attractiveness is that it's shaped and molded by what we grow up with. If you were born in like a different country halfway across the world, I guarantee what you're attracted to would be different in that country than it is where you are. You've got mass media, television, social media, music, your culture, your religion, all these things that play into how you develop what you're attracted to. There's nothing wrong with your attraction. We're all attracted to different things. We're all different people. We're all unique, and there are different things that have tied into knitting our attraction together. However, just because I am attracted or not attracted to something doesn't mean it's not beautiful. My attraction is just kind of like a fine tuning of, hey, everything is beautiful, but this is what I like. Literally, I need us to get it. We have got to unlearn this idea that beauty equals attractiveness. If somebody is not attracted to you, you are still beautiful. If they are attracted to you, you were already beautiful. They are just attracted to your specific type of beauty. Guys, when I really thought about this, because I have been very confident in myself for a couple years now, and I've just gone on this journey of falling in love with who I am and falling in love with myself. The more I discover and the more God reveals to me who he's really made me and what all he's really put in me. But when I understood that in the shower the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the key to helping people. You can stop caring so much about what other people think and letting that be the foundation of your beauty, because it's not. You're beautiful because God made you. That's it. That's all. End of discussion. Case closed. Another thing I really had to start understanding was that everything isn't about your outside appearance. You can feel like the most beautiful person on the outside and feel worthless on the inside. It kind of ties into when I was telling you guys, when I learned how to do makeup and I got really, really good at it, I kind of attributed my worth to being good at doing makeup, because it's like, I'm good at this, I'm good at something. So it kind of compensated for my lack of self-esteem appearance-wise, but it also made me feel worthy of something, because I was like, at least I'm good at this, at least I can do this. And so when I took it off, I kind of had this feeling of emptiness or like worthlessness on top of me feeling not as beautiful because of the makeup. I think there's a lot of us that have these things, whether it's a job that you do, you're really good at that job, or a talent you have and you're really good at that talent, a relationship that you're in and you feel like you're really contributing to this relationship and you're making a difference in this person's life. What happens when you guys break up? What happens if you wake up and you can't perform that talent that you have? What happens if you get fired from that job or you don't get a promotion? Because you have built a foundation of your worth on what you do, what you feel like you're good at. Once you're not good at that, or once it falls apart for whatever reason, so does your worthiness. So let me give y'all the tea on worth. Let me give you guys the tea on worth. You are worthy because God wanted to create you. Let's dial it back a bit. You're beautiful because God created you. You're worthy because he wanted to. Listen, if these are the foundations of beauty and worth, you will never feel ugly and you will never feel worthless ever again in your life, because nothing is ever going to change the fact that God made you and he wanted to. As a society that we have unfortunately fallen victim to, we have just built so much confidence and self-worth and all these things on stuff that can crumble and fall apart at any moment. And so when they do, when you take the makeup off, when you take the wig off and the hair extensions out, if you don't get the promotion on the job, if someone breaks up with you in this relationship, then you have nothing else to stand on. You're trying to build a house on something that does not have a firm foundation. And that is why you go through seasons of with your confidence. It's depending on what's happening in your life. If everything's good in your life, you feel amazing, you feel worthy, you feel beautiful. And then the minute something goes wrong, because things happen in life and sometimes they suck. Sometimes it does not feel good. A breakup does not feel good. Working so hard for something you thought you were gonna get and then you don't get it does not feel good. But it doesn't mean that you're not worthy of it. If you don't get the job, it doesn't mean you're not worthy of a job. If somebody breaks up with you in a relationship where it doesn't work out, it doesn't mean you're not worthy of being dated. You take the makeup off, it doesn't mean that you're not beautiful. Your foundation of beauty is the fact that God made you. Your foundation of your worthiness is the fact that he wanted to. Girl, he wanted to make you. You're worthy because he wanted you. That's it. I'm telling you guys, I've heard my whole life that it's so important to find your identity in Christ, but there's so many layers to your identity in Christ, and with self-esteem and with confidence and beauty, this is the part of identifying yourself in Christ that is going to help you to go on that journey of falling in love with what God made. This is something, you guys, that you got to put into practice, because like I said, we are growing up in a culture where you open up literally any app and everything is tracking how many views you get, how many likes you get, how many comments you get. Is my body curvy enough? Is my booty big enough? It's like all it is. We are striving after what we think people like. And I think that we need to just strive after loving what God already made. I just hope, as always, this is getting across to you guys the way that God got it across to me, because I was like, listen, we're coming to break the yokes of low self-esteem today. We're coming to break the yokes of lack of confidence. No, 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 no. Like, you are that girl or that guy. If you're watching this video, welcome. You're welcome here as well. But you are that girl, sis. I'm that girl, okay? And it's not because I'm cocky. It's not because I'm not humble. But it's because I know who I am in God. I know who He made me. I know what He had in mind when He made me. And I know why He made me. So I'm going to stand on that, and I'm going to go on this journey of falling in love with that instead of trying to learn how to fall in love with what I think people want to see from me. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any more questions or anything else you want to talk about related to this topic, definitely be sure to comment down below. I feel like I haven't mentioned in my last videos to follow me on socials, so there they are right there on the screen. Be sure to follow me, DM me. I love talking to you guys, and I also really use Instagram a lot to kind of figure out what kind of content you guys want to see from me, so that's a great place to let me know what kind of videos you want from me next. Definitely be sure to subscribe, you guys, and hit that bell so you'll be notified every time I post a new video. I love you guys with my literal whole entire heart, and I will see you in the next vid. Bye!
Blows on Sunday, 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 blows on Sunday.